and welcome to the next Bushido Entrepreneur Monthly Maxim. So this one is for the month of May 2021. So this is one of my kind of all-time favourite ones, and I think it really is the epitome of Bushido, for me anyway. And it is a samurai maxim, and it basically is talking about kind of knowing and doing. And what I mean by that is, if you think about how easily words can come out and we can say yes to this and oh yeah, I mean to do that, and when you think about people who set New Year's resolutions and things like that, but often words can be said very lightly and then they're not necessarily honoured or kept. So this maxim is saying to know and act are one and the same. To know and act are one and the same. So what you have then is a complete compaction of the acting, and the knowing is just all inclusive. And another way I like to look at that is the embodiment. So a lot of the times when we teach things in the dojo here, we'll look at things that people might go, oh yeah, I already know that, I've already heard that, I'm aware of that, I've read that, I understand that, which is great, wonderful. So that's all wisdom, knowledge, intelligence in our heads. But what we then live, what we are then kind of driven by in terms of our core values and beliefs and our actions are the embodiment of certain wisdoms. And we all have a choice, so sometimes we say like, oh, yeah, I meant to do that, but this happened, that happened, the other happened, which, some people we could say that that's procrastination, that's excuses. And I think one of the biggest things, this is out of conscious leadership actually, is called radical responsibility. And I think that fits really, really well with Bushido on this one, because what you need to be aware of in that is, let's say we've said yes to doing a certain thing, and then we've gone away and thought about it, and we've gone, I'm not really feeling it, I don't particularly want to do it. Well, radical responsibility would say, I've got two things here. I honour my word and I'm just going to do it because I said I would. Or if you are feeling that this is like not for me, I shouldn't really be doing it, I don't know why I agreed to it, then you need to have that action to go forward back to whatever the source is and say, actually, upon thinking about it, that's a no. I'm really sorry, but somebody else needs to do it, or whatever that thing might be. Because this thing about knowing and acting are the same thing, I feel like it's so much deeper than the surface. Because the surface of it is for people to go, oh, that's integrity. That's having integrity and doing what you say you're going to do. And yeah, for sure it is integrity. But if you actually sort of peel away a few levels of it and we look at the embodiment of who we are, one of the reasons why in the dojo we start with a foundation level of Bushido is because this is what you live by. And you can call that the code, you can call that your values, your morals, your compass, your kind of just way of being. You can label it in whatever suits you. But in terms of the Bushido code, the thing that's really important to know that is it's a choice. And it's not about any of us being perfect in all those things at all times. But what it is about is us having the aspiration that we are working on being the embodiment of those things. So when we get to the point where knowing and acting are one and the same, that means we've gone past procrastination, we've gone past making excuses, we've gone past being anything other than who we truly are in our strongest core being. Therefore, that means there's no thinking process going on. It means that if you ask me to do something and I say yes, it's already done. If you say to me, could you be a part of whatever it might be, I've already internally within my body transported that into a yes because I'm embodying it. So what I'm trying to say there is it means that those thoughts and thinking things are all combined into our actions. And it's something that takes time, but it also takes conscious awareness. And it's something like, from my own perspective, on my own journey, I've thought about a lot and thought, okay, so over the decades, I've got to the point where I'll only gravitate towards certain types of people. And I choose to work with them and be around them in terms of a team. And that is discernment, because this kind of knowing and acting, being able to say, for me personally, and I can't speak for everybody else on the planet, obviously, I can't do fake, and I can't do kind of like what I would call just day-to-day chit-chat things with people, because I'm just like too serious. I'm too serious about my subject matters and my topics and the things I'm passionate about, like fiercely passionate about. So that's what I want to spend my day doing. So for me personally, that would mean that for my actions to come into alignment for that, I keep away from things that are going to take me out of that, and make sure that I'm in the orbit and gravitating towards all the things that keep me within that space. Now that doesn't to say, I don't want that to sound like, well, that's easy then, just like an easy thing, because it's actually not. Because it takes quite an acute amount of self-awareness and discernment to know what those things are. And I'll give you an example. Oftentimes we deal with entrepreneurs that might have people in their family or their spouses or their friends or whatever it might be that are not necessarily 100% feeling the passion around their mission, around their calling, around the thing that they really feel like they want to do. They don't really understand it. So it's very easy in those things for those people to get pulled away and get to the point where internally they're kind of consumed with this thing of like, well, should I be doing it? Oh, they're saying this, they're saying it's not possible, they don't really understand it, they're not really supporting me. And it pulls you off this thing. I always call it like the center point. It calls you off that kind of alignment piece, because when you're truly aligned and you're in your center, then nothing and nobody's going to pull you off it. And that's one of the reasons, like in the Bushido Entrepreneur, the whole point of the challenge is about that rock, that foundation. Because when you are aligned to your calling, to your mission, to your center point, nothing is, you're just going to be bamboo. You're just going to be like that. People might come along and people might go, but you're still going to be standing. Because the discernment's there, the self-awareness is there, and your principal choice each day is along this maxim. To know and act are one and the same thing, so that everything comes into fluid alignment. It's a very kind of Taoist saying that, when all things come into harmony with well, actually, when I come into harmony with everything in the Tao, then it's like in center point, just meaning that if you are out of alignment and you are out of function with nature and with harmony, there's going to be dysfunction, there's going to be friction, there's going to be difficulties. Whereas if we all come into harmony and alignment and center point, then there's going to be more free flow and more fluidity. And you want that because that's going to make your life easier. And that's going to enable you to be able to work on the things that you need to work on, so that that mental space isn't being drained and wasted in things that are not in true alignment for you. And that's a really, really important thing. And it's something that I think people who have trained in the martial arts, people who have had a long time standing within the Bushido fields, take for granted, because it's a muscle memory. It's completely embodied in them. So you just don't know any different. Whereas obviously, if you haven't had that experience, it's something that you have to go and consciously learn and take in and absorb and basically live by. So that's why for me, from an entrepreneurial perspective, it's a really key foundational set of principles that need to be embodied. And how I've always looked at it is that within that discipline, it gives you a strong spine, a strong backbone. Because particularly, lots of people are like me, come from like artistic, creative backgrounds, which is all great, and that's very yin and creative. However, when we think about business and we think about life and we think about achievements or successes or, creating missions and making a difference out there, creativity is amazing and will get you so far. But as we all know, out in the real world, things have to be financed. things need to be tangible to be able to go out there and create a difference and make the difference. So you are going to need team members, or you're going to need systems, or you're going to need structures, or you're going to need things to enable a mission to come to life and actually do the thing that it's meant to do. So if you don't have a really strong backbone, if you are, and I don't mean this in a mean way to say weak, I just mean if you're going to be easily pushed and pulled and emotional and all those kind of things, it's going to be very, very hard to accomplish that mission, because you're going to be swept up in the opinions and comments and everybody else's stuff. And quite frankly, you can't afford that. And I don't mean you can't afford it just financially. I mean, you can't afford it mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, emotionally, mission-based or anything. So you're not going to do yourself, the mission, and the people that you can help any favours. You're going to do them all a disservice or a dysfunction if you don't work on that inner stuff. So one of the reasons why we always kind of talk about that yin yang inside the dojo is because we're working on the external entrepreneurial kind of execution of things and what they will look like on the planet, married up against the internals of who you are. And are you being the person that needs to sort of, if you think about the old phrase of be, do, have, are you being the person that does the actions to have those results? And most of the time, there is an alignment issue in of that, because you might be thinking it. We might go, oh, yes, I am. I'm really passionate about this. I want to do this and whatever. But internally, if you're swaying all over the place, if you're pushed or you're pulled or you're distracted or whatever the thing may be, unbeknown to you, you're giving out a completely different signal. And that's going to make it much, much harder for you. So sometimes people think I'm a little bit intense with that, and I've been running dojos for over 20 years now, so people I've been called all kinds of things. but what I was always taught was like, you are here to kind of serve and to help somebody kind of make that quantum leap, to help them get that, that success, that achievement, that making a difference thing. So sometimes it's a little bit, you've got to be cruel to be kind, because you've got to create that push. And it's not obviously about being rude or mean to people, but it's just about sometimes that we all need that. We all need that little push, that little kind of dig of like going, have you noticed that? And putting us back onto the track, as it were. So I think for this month, this Samurai Maxim is just one of my all-time favourites, because I think it's something that's so simple, yet actually really layered, and to really have true mastery over it, I really believe does take a long time and a lot of work. Because when we talk about self-mastery, I'm not just talking about self-mastery in, oh yes, I'm very good with my exercise routine, or I'm really good at managing my accounts or whatever. We're not talking about one area of life. We're talking about everything. And if we talk about an entrepreneur, we're looking about your leadership, your business, how you show up in your business, how you work with other people, relationship to yourself, relationship to your family, to your partner, to your friends, to the people that you work with, to yourself. Then we start to look at kind of abundance and prosperity and wealth, and then we can start to move on from there, and we can start to look at kind of mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and we can look in all these different areas. And when we look at through that and that embodiment, that center point, and if we say to ourselves, okay, so if I was going to give myself marks out of 10, am I a 10 in all of those areas? And again, this isn't self-deprecation. This isn't to be down on anybody. It's just that little reality check of going, okay, well, maybe I'm up here 7, 8, 9 on this area, but maybe this area is a bit of a 2 or a 3. And that's fine. We're all going to have that. But the point of the things within our challenge, for example, the Bushido Entrepreneur Challenge, is we're looking at those things and helping that rise up. Because the more that we can rise up into alignment, the more we can be in that true embodiment, the more we're naturally going to be able to unfold, and things will then start moving with us. So the whole thing when I said about that Taoist quote is that whole nature thing becomes more into flow, and it becomes that bit more easier. Again, that's not to say we're not going to have hurdles, obstacles, challenges and whatever. We all are. We all get them. We know about that. I'm sure we've all got millions. I mean, those of us, depending how old you are, but if you're as old as me, you've probably got more t-shirts and more wardrobes than you care to have. But, you know, that's what shapes you. That's what creates the person that you are today. And that's not a good thing, because they're the things that we use in your story. They're the things that we use that really make you totally unique to be able to take your calling and your mission and put it into a really tangible, conscious business. So they're all really, really little kind of amazing little diamonds that we need. So I'm going to leave you with that for this month. And I want you to kind of really focus on thinking about the areas and catching yourself and sort of knowing and acting are one of the same thing. And think about areas that you are like, actually, I just do that. So I'm a natural. I've got that one down. And other areas where it's not so. And again, this isn't a self-deprecation thing. This is always about looking at self-actualization and how we can improve and how we can move forwards. Because remember one thing, particularly as an entrepreneur, you can only get things up to the level that you're at. So if you're not prepared to go out and keep on doing your training and development, and to keep on having mentors and teammates and different things that you can go on, at some point there's going to be a threshold. There's going to be a point where things get stuck. And I don't know about you, but me personally, I don't want to be the cause of something getting stuck. I want to get out of the way of that. And I had a teaching many, many years ago that I keep with me that says about training your replacement, or training the people that are better than you. So if I use the paradigm of when I used to teach the physical martial arts, that was based on the fact that you would want your students to come up through those ranks and be better than you, because that would mean then you've done a good job and you're passing the baton on. And then the next generation can take it a bit further, and the next generation before that. If you want to create an egocentric kind of, and I'll just use a dojo in this example, and you want to keep everybody that bit below you, and you want to keep everybody controlled, then you're living in ego, and you're not actually the embodiment of that code and of those principles. And for me, it's the same in a conscious business as well, because you want to be looking at people around you in your team and everything, helping them to develop and grow, and blossom and take it wherever they can take it. You don't want to stunt growth. You don't. So this knowing and acting are one of the same. As I say, to me, is one of those maxims that's very simple on the surface, but it's got a complexity to it, which in terms of mastery would take a long time. Because for any of us to truly master everything, I mean, my personal belief, again, it's just something I feel, is that we keep getting given those things through our entirety of our mortal journey, if you like. And I feel like if we reach a point at any day where we go, do you know what, I'm done. I'm a 10 out of 10. I'm just perfect. I'm walking on water. I'm untouchable. I think that's then your time done on the earth. I think that you would have, your life force would have no reason to continue. So for me, I don't like the word retirement as an example, because that horrifies me, because I just think, gosh, I don't want to be retired. I think about things like past business where I'm thinking, I'll have more time to write more books, or what things I could fill that time up with. That I'm actively in a business at the moment, but I would never give it up, because for me, I don't want to ever get to the point where there's nothing left to learn, grow, share, teach, help with. So I think that, on a personal level, I think I'll be like that on my deathbed. I'll be going, there's just one more lesson. Even if anybody was listening or not, it'd kind of be irrelevant. But, so I just want to leave you with that today. If you would like to join us we've got a private Facebook group called the Bushido Entrepreneur. Oh, what a surprise. So I'll put the link in below somewhere in this post. We put out one of these videos every single month. We're always doing lots of different content things. We're working on a free piece of content for everybody at the moment, which is just really talking about how to, kind of get your calling, change your calling, and create it into a profitable business. Now, the couple of words that are missing off there is mission driven, which we'll go into, and conscious. because conscious businesses are really the only way forward on this planet in terms of getting out of kind of patriarchy and government and things that are dictatorial and things that are suppressive and things that are not allowing people to be who they truly came here to be. And that's something that we're deeply passionate about, in terms of helping everybody be completely who they are meant to be and doing the work that we're put here to do and doing it in as big a way as you want. And that can look completely different for each of us. It's very unique. It's very like your thumbprint. It's very bespoke. But anyway, if you kind of, want to find out more about our challenges, our circle, our experience, our quest, we have lots of really, really cool things happening inside the dojo. So just, get in touch, join the group. We'd love to see how we can help you really make a difference out there. So let's work on that maxim this month and see how we get on. Okay, take care. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.